She signed last month. Tonight is just a formality. My daughter-in-law said it like she was ordering iced tea, like it was already done. She didn't even look at me when she said it. She looked at the lawyer sitting at our table, his briefcase parked by his chair like he belonged here. I hadn't even touched my water. I blinked at the glass, then at the folder in front of me. Thick, clean edges. The kind of folder people use when they don't plan on asking. "Excuse me," I said, because my mouth moved before my brain caught up. My son's eyes stayed on the table. Not my face, not hers. The table. Like the wood grain had answers. The lawyer, Mr. Harlan, didn't speak yet. He just opened the folder and started flipping pages slow and neat like he'd done it 1,000 times. Paper whispering, a tiny scratch of cardstock. The faint smell of copier toner and lemon cleaner hit me when the folder shifted toward my side. My daughter-in-law Maris gave me that same calm smile she uses when she's helping the waitstaff correct an order. "Lenora," she said softly, like she was talking to someone who might get confused. "We went over this. It's safer this way." I didn't sign anything I said. I heard how sharp my voice sounded and hated it. Sharp makes you look unstable. Sharp makes you look like the problem. Maris didn't flinch. "You did. We have it. That's why Mr. Harlan is here. My name is Lenora Whitfield. I am 63 years old." And in that second, with my own son refusing to look up, I felt something ugly crawl up my spine. This wasn't a conversation. This was a file being closed. I turned to my son. "Ethan, tell her to stop." He swallowed. His jaw worked like he was chewing words he couldn't spit out. "Mom?" "Just listen, okay?" Maris slid the folder closer, stopping it with one finger like she was training a dog. "We don't have to make this dramatic, mister." Harlan finally lifted his eyes. Not to me, to the page. "Mrs. Whitfield," he began careful. I watched his thumb hold my life in place on the paper, and my stomach went cold. If I didn't sign anything, what else have I forgotten? A small note before I go on this story is a work created by the writing team at Her Shadow. Maris leaned in, voice low, sweet as poison. "Let's just get through tonight." And for the first time, I understood why she kept smiling. She thought the moment I fought back had already passed. Maris slid the document across the table without asking, just pushed it. Slow, confident, like she'd done it before and expected me to follow the script. "Page 3, she said. "Bottom." I didn't touch it at first. I watched Mr. Harlan's hand instead, how he adjusted the edge so it lined up perfectly with the table. How careful he was not to look at my face. "Go on," Maris added. "You should recognize it." I finally pulled the paper closer. The sound it made, thin dry, felt too loud in the room. I scanned past the blocks of text. Legal language. Dense. Then I saw it. My name. Not typed. Written. My handwriting. Slight lean to the right. The way I looped the L without thinking. Even the pressure looked right heavy at the start, lighter at the end like my hand was tired. "That's not," I stopped. Because the lie wouldn't finish forming. The ink was smudged at the tail of the signature. Just a little. Like the pen hesitated. Like someone paused mid-stroke. "You signed it during your appointment," Maris said. "You were clear. You asked good questions. Ethan was there." I looked up at my son. "What appointment?" His shoulders tightened. "Mom, you were nervous that day. You said you wanted things handled." "I don't remember that I said." "That doesn't mean it didn't happen," Maris replied too fast. "Too ready." Mr. Harlan cleared his throat. "Mrs. Whitfield, the document is valid as it stands." Valid. The word landed hard, like a door closing. I stared at the date. It was one I knew. A day I remembered driving somewhere with Ethan. A day I remembered being tired. What if forgetting isn't the danger, but remembering wrong is? I pushed the paper back toward them. I want a copy. Maris's smile flickered. Just a crack. Of course, she said. But there's really no need to slow this down. Slow it down. That was the first time she sounded worried. I leaned back in my chair and folded my hands, careful to keep them steady. Then you won't mind if I take my time. No one helps you rush unless they're afraid of what happens if you don't. I kept my hands folded, but my mind wouldn't stay still. The date on the page wouldn't let me. Ethan, I said, and my voice came out flatter than I meant it to. You drove me that day. He blinked like I'd slapped him with the sentence. What, that date? I said, tapping the paper once, not hard. You picked me up early. You said we had an appointment. Maris cut in fast. We already explained. No, I said, and the word surprised even me. He can answer. Ethan's throat moved. He glanced at Maris before he looked at me like he needed permission to speak. It was your checkup, he said. You asked me to take you. I didn't ask you, I said. You showed up. You said parking was bad and you didn't want me driving. His face tightened. Mom, don't do this. Do what? My voice rose just enough to make Mr. Harlan shift in his chair. Remember. Maris leaned back, crossing her arms. This isn't helping you. It's helping me understand, I said, and I hated that my voice shook on the last word. Ethan rubbed his palm over his mouth like he was wiping something off. We sat in traffic, he muttered. The same radio ad kept playing. You complained about it. My stomach dropped because that part was true. I saw it, his hands on the wheel, the red brake lights ahead, that stupid ad repeating like a bad joke. I remembered turning the volume down myself. And after I asked, he swallowed. You were fine. You signed. You said you felt relieved. Relieved. Like signing away my life would calm me down. Maris leaned forward, voice low and sharp. You were clear. You were present. Don't start pretending you weren't. I looked at my son. Where did you take me? He hesitated. Just a beat. Too long for a simple answer, Ethan. I said softer now. Look at me. His eyes finally met mine, and I saw fear there. Not for me. For him. How long does something have to be planned before it stops being a mistake? Mr. Harlan cleared his throat again. Mrs. Whitfield, if you'd like, I can arrange to provide the appointment documentation. Good, I said, not breaking Ethan's stare. Do that. And Ethan, don't leave this table until I hear the truth from your mouth. Mr. Harlan shifted in his chair, and for the first time since he sat down, he looked directly at me. Not politely, not carefully, like he was checking something. Mrs. Whitfield, he said, and his voice was steady. Practiced, before we go any further, I need to confirm something. Maris exhaled through her nose. We've already confirmed everything. He didn't look at her. His fingers went to the briefcase by his feet. When he pulled it closer, the zipper caught halfway. He tugged once, then again, just a little harder than necessary. The sound scraped across my nerves. You don't need to confirm anything, Maris said. We're just finalizing. I do, he replied, still not looking at her. For my records. Ethan shifted beside me. What kind of records? The kind that already exist, Mr. Harlan said. That's when it hit me. Not like a memory coming back. More like a shape I'd seen before out of the corner of my eye. You, I said slowly. You were there. He paused. Just a fraction. Enough. Yes, he said. Briefly. Maris stiffened. What are you talking about? He finally turned to her. I met your mother-in-law several weeks ago. The room went quiet in a way that felt deliberate, like everyone was holding still to see who would move first. That's not relevant, Maris said. It is to me, he said, and it should be to you. I stared at him, trying to pull the memory forward. A hallway, a chair, a clipboard, nothing solid. Just the sense that I'd been handed things and expected to nod. You didn't introduce yourself, I said. No, he agreed. You were told I was filling in. For who, Ethan asked. Mr. Harlan closed the folder in front of him. That depends on whether she remembers consenting to the meeting. Maris stood up. This is getting out of hand. I stayed seated. Funny. I said that you're the only one who seems surprised. Why would he remember me when I barely remember him? Mr. Harlan slid a single page out of his briefcase and placed it face down on the table. Before anyone leaves, he said, "We're going to verify exactly what that meeting was and who requested it." Maris's jaw tightened. Ethan didn't move. And for the first time that night, no one tried to rush me. The page Mr. Harlan had slid out stayed face down between us. No one touched it. Not even Maris. This isn't about the house, I said mostly to myself. The words surprised me as they landed. Once they were out, they felt solid. Is it? Maris's eyes narrowed. Of course it is. That's what we're here for. No, I said, shaking my head. That's just the cover. Ethan looked at me like I'd started speaking another language. Mom, you didn't need me to sign anything, I continued. My mouth went dry before my hands did. I had to swallow twice to keep going. You needed me. Unreliable. Mr. Harlan lifted his gaze. Not startled. Interested. Maris crossed her arms tighter. You're spiraling. I'm connecting dots, I said. That appointment. The signature. The way you keep talking about safety, memory, protection. I laughed once, short and sharp. You weren't trying to take the house. You were trying to take me out of the equation. That's not fair, Ethan said too quickly. It's accurate, I replied. I turned to him. If I'm confused, I don't get a say. If I'm unstable, you decide for me. You don't have to fight me in court if I never make it there. Mr. Harlan leaned forward slightly. Mrs. Whitfield. Were you evaluated for capacity during that meeting? Maris snapped. That's privileged. He looked at her for the first time with something close to annoyance. Only if it was properly requested. I felt the room tilt. Not panic. Clarity. Ugly, cold clarity. What happens when the court believes them instead of you? Ethan's voice dropped. We were just trying to help. By erasing me, I asked. Silence. The kind that tells you you're right. Mr. Harlan turned the page face up at last. I didn't read it. I watched Maris's face instead, the way her jaw clenched, the way she stopped pretending. This changes things, he said carefully. If your consent is in question, everything stops. Maris straightened. We don't have time for this. I met her stare. You're right. You don't. Mr. Harlan closed the folder with a final deliberate motion. Then we should proceed with verification, immediately. Maris opened her mouth to argue. He stood. Mr. Harlan didn't sit back down. He stayed standing, one hand on the chair, the other on the folder, like he was deciding which one mattered more. There's a timing issue, he said. Maris laughed once, short, forced. There isn't. He didn't return it. There is. Ethan shifted. What do you mean, timing? Mr. Harlan opened the folder again, slower this time. He ran his finger along a paragraph, then stopped. This document references a waiting window. Maris leaned forward. That window passed. It didn't, he said. Not the way it's written. I felt my shoulders ease without permission. Not relief. Attention. The kind you get when someone finally says the right word. What window? Ethan asked. Mr. Harlan looked at him, then at me. A verification step, required when capacity is questioned. Maris stood. Capacity wasn't questioned. It was, he said flat. By the way this was requested. By the speed. By the setting. I watched her hands. She picked up her glass and set it down too hard. It rang sharp, a brittle sound, and for a second, I thought it might crack. You're overcomplicating this, she said. We're family. You're rushing, he replied, which tells me you're afraid of delay. Ethan rubbed his temples. Can we just finish this? Mr. Harlan shook his head. We can't. Not tonight. Maris turned on me. You're enjoying this. I met her eyes. I'm breathing. She scoffed. You don't even know what you're delaying. I know enough, I said. Enough to stop. Mr. Harlan closed the folder halfway, then opened it again, checking the line like he didn't trust his own memory. The verification wasn't completed. That makes everything provisional. Maris's voice dropped. You said this was clean. He didn't answer her. He addressed the table. We pause here. Immediately. Why was tonight safer for them than tomorrow? Ethan looked between us, panic finally breaking through his restraint. What happens now? Mr. Harlan slid the folder back toward himself. Now we verify. Properly. Maris stepped back, hands tight at her sides. You can't just change the rules. He met her stare. I didn't. You ignored them. I stayed seated, hands folded again, steady this time. Whatever they had planned depended on speed. And for the first time all night, speed was gone. Mr. Harlan didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. She already owns it. The words landed clean. No apology, no build-up. He said it the way you say something that's been true longer than the argument around it. Maris laughed sharp and fast. That's not what the documents say. He turned the folder so the table could see it, not me. The documents say what they were designed to say. Ownership is separate and established. Ethan pushed back from the table. Wait, what does that mean? It means Mr. Harlan said there was never anything to transfer. Maris stood up so quickly her chair scraped loud against the floor. The sound cut through the room. Ugly. Final. That's impossible, she said. We were told. You were told what you wanted to hear, he replied. What you assumed. I felt something shift in my chest. Not relief, not victory. Recognition. Like a lock clicking into place. So you're saying Maris pressed this whole process? Was unnecessary, he said, and improperly framed. Ethan looked at me then. Really looked. Mom! I didn't answer him. I was watching Maris. Watching her recalibrate. The confidence drained first. Then the control. If I already owned everything I said quietly, what exactly were you trying to steal? She snapped her head toward me. Her mouth opened. Closed. No answer came out. Mr. Harlan gathered the papers into a single stack. This meeting is no longer about execution. It's about correction. Maris shook her head. You're siding with her. I'm stating facts, he said. You can do with that what you like. Ethan reached for Maris's arm. She pulled away. This isn't over, she said. No, I said, standing for the first time. My knees held. My voice did too. It is. Mr. Harlan slid the folder under his arm. Next steps will be outlined, in writing. Maris stared at the empty space where the papers had been, then at me. For the first time all night, she looked uncertain. And uncertainty, I'd learned, was where plans went to die. Maris didn't start arguing law. That was the first thing that told on her. She started talking faster. This is ridiculous, she said. You're twisting things. That's not what we discussed. Mr. Harlan didn't respond. He waited. Waiting made her louder. You can't just say that and expect it to stick, she pressed. People don't structure estates like that. Someone misled you. Her voice went sharp on the last word, then flattened, when no one jumped in to save her. Ethan looked between us. Maris slowed down. She rounded on him. Don't tell me to slow down. I stayed quiet. I wanted to hear how far she'd go without a script. You knew, she said to the lawyer, pointing now. You knew this wasn't clean. I knew it wasn't finished, he replied. There's a difference. She laughed again, but it came out thin. So what, we just pretend none of this happened? No, I said. We acknowledge it. She snapped her head toward me. You're enjoying this. I shook my head. I'm watching you. Her hands started moving, straightening papers that weren't there, touching the edge of the table, smoothing her sleeve. Control habits with nothing left to control. You assumed I continued keeping my voice even. You assumed I needed to sign something. You assumed I wouldn't notice the timing. You assumed my memory was the weakest part of me. Her jaw tightened. You don't know what I assumed. I leaned forward then. Just enough. I know you gambled. Mr. Harlan nodded once. And you lost. Her eyes darted around the table looking for traction. None came. What do you do when your last lie stops working? Ethan took a step toward her. Maris, maybe we should. She cut him off. No. You stay out of this. That was when I saw it clearly. Not panic, exposure. Mr. Harlan gathered his things again. I'll prepare a formal notice outlining the consequences of this attempt. Attempt, Maris said. Her voice cracked on the word. Yes, he replied. Attempt. I stood beside the chair she'd scraped earlier. You thought tonight would end me. She stared back, silent now. It didn't, I said. It ended you having any control over what happens next. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence already had. They were waiting for noise. I could see it in Maris's posture. In the way Ethan's shoulders stayed braced, like he expected me to throw something. Yell. Say something unforgivable. I didn't. Here's what's happening, I said, and my voice surprised me by how even it sounded. Effective. Immediately all access tied to my name is revoked. Mary scoffed. You can't just, I can, I said. And I am. Mr. Harlan nodded once, already making a note. No advisory role, I continued. No management, no representation. Nothing that implies you speak for me or act on my behalf. Ethan stepped forward. Mom, let's slow this down. I turned to him. You don't get to slow anything down. He flinched. I was trying to keep the peace. There is no peace that costs me my voice, I said. My throat tightened just once. My voice cracked. I kept going. You don't get to stay neutral in my life anymore. Mary's laughed hollow. So that's it. You cut us off and pretend you're in control. I don't need to pretend, I said. Control doesn't announce itself. Mr. Harlan looked up. For clarity, Mrs. Whitfield, would you like formal notices issued tonight? Yes, I said. Tonight. Ethan shook his head. You're choosing this. I'm choosing reality, I said. You chose something else weeks ago. If you don't punish loudly, is the boundary still real? Maris opened her mouth, then stopped. She had nothing left that didn't sound like a threat or a plea. Both were useless now. Mr. Harlan closed his folder. I'll prepare the documents. I stood, not in a rush. You should make arrangements, I said to them both. Things will change fast. Maris stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. No, I said, correcting her without heat. You're seeing the owner. Ethan didn't follow me when I walked away from the table. That told me everything I needed to know. Behind me, the room stayed quiet. Not stunned. Reset. And for the first time all night, I didn't look back. The house was quiet again. Not the polite kind. The finished kind. Mr. Harlan stood by the door with his folder tucked under his arm. I'll file everything tonight, he said. Formal notices will go out in the morning. Thank you, I said. He nodded once, like this was just another Tuesday, and let himself out without looking back. Maris lingered near the table. No folder, no script. Just her arms crossed tight like she could hold the night together by force. You're making a mistake, she said. No, I replied. I'm ending one. She opened her mouth, then shut it. Whatever reputation she thought she'd built collapsed faster than the plan. She grabbed her bag and walked out without another word. Ethan stayed. Of course he did. You didn't have to do it like this, he said. This is how it already was, I told him. You just didn't expect me to notice. He stared at the floor. I was trying to keep things from getting worse. They got worse the moment you stopped telling me the truth, I said. You don't get decision-making access anymore. Not to my accounts, not to my home, not to me, he swallowed. So what am I to you now? I held his gaze. My son. with limits. He nodded slow and small and left with his shoulders slumped like a boy who finally understood the cost of silence. I locked the door behind him. The click sounded solid. I went upstairs and slept in my bed knowing no one could sign me away again. I didn't feel happy. I felt done. They came to take my inheritance. They left without access to anything, including me. I learned that silence can be weaponized if you let it stand in for consent. Boundaries don't need drama to be real. Ownership starts with refusing to disappear. Thank you for staying with me through this. If this story stirred something in you, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep walking through stories like this with me, feel free to follow or subscribe.